Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for always staying with me, listening, and sharing your thoughts through every story we tell. Today, we continue following the journey of Hoai Ca, a journey filled with the kind of pain no one ever wants to face. As you already know, because the baby was born prematurely, he could not stay with his parents. A tiny little soul, who never even had the chance to open his eyes to this world, left far too soon. Hùng and Hoai Ca held a small funeral in their wooden house on the hill. No music, no crowd, only family, a few familiar faces, and a lot of tears. The incense smoke rose heavily, and every heart in that room felt as if it was being squeezed until it hurt. Hoai Ca held the small towel she was supposed to wrap around her baby today, while Hùng tried to stand strong beside her, even though he himself was breaking on the inside. But the funeral has ended. Time does not stop for anyone. And the question that weighs on everyone's mind is this: can Hoai Ca overcome the pain of losing her child? Can she and Hùng stand up again after such a devastating blow? And what will the next chapter of their lives look like? In today's video, I will take you through what happens next. The moments when Hoai Ca faces reality, the quiet efforts Hùng makes behind the scenes, and the small but meaningful sparks of hope that begin to appear on their long road forward. Let's follow their story together and understand what they are going through. And please don't forget to leave a comforting message for Hoai Ca and Hùng. After the baby's funeral, the wooden house on the hill, the place that used to echo with bright morning laughter, with Hoai Ca calling out to Hùng, with the sound of a broom brushing across the yard, fell into a cold, hollow silence so heavy that just stepping through the doorway was enough to make the chest tighten. The air inside felt locked, thick, heavy, and painfully still. The small cradle still sat by the window, the spot where Hùng had planned to let their child lie and sunbathe each morning. The mint green bedsheet was still perfectly smooth, untouched even once. A box of baby bottles, unopened, sat beside a tiny container of baby powder that Mother Ha had bought the moment she learned the baby was a boy. The tiny swaddling cloth, the one everyone had happily held and admired, was now in Hoai Ca's hands, soaked with her warmth and her tears. From that day on, it was as if Hoai Ca disappeared from the world. She said nothing. She looked at no one, not even Hùng. She barely touched her meals, barely sipped her water. Even her footsteps felt weightless, as if she was not truly walking on the ground. She no longer called Hùng whenever she needed something, no longer asked what he wanted for dinner, whether his back still hurt, or whether he wanted to go down to the village to buy more vegetables. Each day passed as if she was living inside a dark box, a space with four walls closing in, and only her baby's blanket left as a fragile anchor. Mother Ha stood outside the door many times. She held a bowl of fresh porridge, a clean towel, a box of vitamins. But each time, she quietly walked away. She knew well that some pain is not beyond understanding. It is simply a pain no one has the right to touch. At night, the silence inside the house grew even harsher. There were moments when Hùng jolted awake, startled by a faint sob, so soft that he would have missed it if he had been asleep. That suppressed cry cut into his heart like a blade. He sat up immediately and turned on the bedside lamp, just bright enough to see Hoai Ca curled up, holding the baby's blanket to her chest as if it were the entire world she had lost. Her shoulders trembled with uneven breaths. Then he heard her voice, soft, weak, drifting like it was carried by the wind. "Baby, I am sorry. I could not protect you." Just that one sentence felt like someone had grabbed his chest and squeezed hard. For the first time in his life, Hùng understood what absolute helplessness felt like. He walked closer, sat beside her, and slowly wrapped his arms around her, so gently as if he feared she would shatter into pieces. His chin rested on her shoulder, his breath warm against her skin, trying to give her whatever little warmth he had left. But Hoai Ca did not react at all. She did not push him away. She did not lean into him. She did not cry harder. She did not hold back. She simply stared into the empty space before her, eyes hollow as if looking straight through the wooden wall, through the darkness, through her own life. reaching for the image of a baby who never had the chance to call her mother. Hung stayed like that for a long time, long enough that he could not tell whether it had been minutes or hours. Only the ticking of the clock, the wind slipping through the cracks, and the painful sound of Hoai Ca's breathing filled the room. A small room, holding two people and a grief far greater than what any human heart should be forced to bear. Mother Ha watched Hoai Ca grow weaker each day, and her heart felt as if someone was clawing at it. Every trip up the hill, every bowl of warm porridge, every gentle word, none of it could reach the heart of a daughter drowning in grief. Finally, she made a decision everyone knew was necessary. Take care of Hoai Ca. I will bring Tony to the city for a while so it is easier to look after him. Her voice was not loud, but it was enough to make the wooden house fall silent. Hung simply nodded. He knew that in her current state, Hoai Ca did not have the strength to care for an active little boy like Tony. As for Hoai Ca, when she heard Tony's name, her eyes only flickered for a moment before going blank again. She had always loved Tony deeply long before he could call her mom. She had already treated him like her own child. But ever since the day they buried her baby, she seemed terrified of even touching Tony. Tony was crawling on the floor, holding the small wooden toy car that Hung had carved by hand. When he heard his grandmother speak, the little boy looked up, his round eyes instinctively searching for Hoai Ca. He pushed himself up, wobbling on his feet, then grabbed the hem of her shirt. Ma. The word was soft and unsteady, still distorted by the way toddlers speak. Yet it pierced through Hoai Ca's heart like a blade. She flinched. Her hands trembled. Her breath caught for a second. But just a heartbeat later, she turned away. She lowered her head quickly. She did not dare to look. She did not dare to touch. She did not dare to let her heart be torn open again. Hung stood beside them, witnessing everything. His fist tightened until his knuckles turned white. Mother Ha stared for a moment, worry clearly written in her eyes. It was in that exact moment, when Tony reached out and Hoai Ca stepped back, that everyone realized something was wrong. This was not just sadness anymore, not just a temporary emotional dip. This was Hoai Ca slowly collapsing. Her face had no expression. Her eyes were empty. Her reactions were slow. And most alarming of all, she avoided Tony, something she had never done before. Mother Ha looked at her daughter, let out a trembling breath, and whispered, "Ca, what is happening to you, my child?" But Hoai Ca only bit her lip, gripping the edge of her shirt to stop herself from breaking down. She did not answer. She did not explain. She did not face anyone. She was trapped inside a grief no one knew how to pull her out of. For many nights in a row, Hoai Ca could not sleep even for a minute. Not dozing off. Not closing her eyes. Not even lying down. She only sat at the edge of the bed, leaning against the wooden wall that had held her weight for years. But tonight, the wall felt cold. The wind felt cold. And her heart felt even colder. In her hands was a tiny knitted hat, cream-colored, soft as cotton, each stitch carefully woven by Mother Ha. The hat had been prepared when Hoai Ca was 8 months pregnant. Back then, her mother had joked, "With this on, he will look so cute, like a little round potato." Hoai Ca had laughed. Now, she could not even remember how that laughter felt. Her fingers stroked each loop of yarn, tracing every line of soft thread, as if trying to recreate the feeling of touching her baby's head. But she never got to touch him. She never had the chance. Every stroke felt like a needle piercing straight into her chest. Every breath felt like her heart skipped half a beat. Cold emptiness crawled along her spine. Hung lay beside her, but he was not sleeping deeply. Every time he dozed off, he jolted awake, sensing something wrong in the air around his wife. Whenever he reached out and did not feel her beside him, his heart thumped hard like someone had grabbed it. That night was no different. Hung turned over and did not see Hoai Ca. He sat up instantly, heart pounding. The blankets were still warm. She had only just stepped away. "Ca?" His voice was rough, tight with fear. He turned on the bedside lamp. The soft yellow light stretched across the room, casting a long shadow of Hoai Ca standing at the doorway. She stood motionless, like a silhouette, hair falling over half her face, gripping the tiny hat so tightly that her knuckles had turned white. She did not move. She did not blink. Her eyes were wide open, fixed on the darkness outside the window, as if she was listening to something only she could hear. Hung stepped closer, carefully, afraid to startle her. "Ca? What are you doing?" She stayed still. Then, very slowly, in a faint whisper, she said, "Do you hear it?" A chill ran down Hung's entire body. He swallowed, trying to steady his voice. "Hear what?" Hoai Ca did not turn back. She did not look at him. Her eyes remained locked on the darkness. He is crying." Her voice trembled like dry leaves in the wind. "Our baby, he is crying outside." A cold shiver crawled down Hung's spine. Outside, there was only the night wind, leaves brushing the roof, the rustling bamboo. No child's voice. No one out there. "Ca, there is no sound." His chest tightened. "Our baby, he is gone, Ca." But before he could finish, Hoai Ca snapped out of some terrible trance. She spun around, shaking her head hard. "No, do not say that." Her voice cracked like shattering glass. "He is still alive. I heard him. He called me. He is crying, he is cold, he needs me." She covered her ears, hands trembling violently, bending forward like his words were the final blow crushing the last bit of hope she had. The tiny hat slipped from her fingers, rolling to Hung's feet, picking up dust. Hoai Ca collapsed to the floor, hands clutching her head, breathing broken and uneven. "He is calling me, he is calling me. I heard him. I heard him clearly." Hung panicked and rushed to hold her. "Ca, I am here. Listen to me. Please calm down." She struggled in his arms like a terrified bird caught in a trap. Tears streamed down her face, her voice choking into pieces. "Do not hold me. Let me go. He is cold. He is scared. He is calling for me." Hung held her tighter, terrified she would run outside into the darkness. His hands were shaking uncontrollably. He buried his face into her hair, his voice breaking. "Please, Ca, do not do this. Do not scare me. I am begging you." Her tears soaked through his chest. His tears fell onto her trembling hands. Both of them shook as if standing in the coldest night of their lives. That night, Hung realized for the first time that Hoai Ca was no longer fully here. She was trapped in another world, one made of grief, where only she and the unbearable pain of losing their child existed. That night, it was not raining heavily. Just small, fine droplets, light as dust, but enough to soak through hair and sting the skin with cold. Hung had just drifted off from exhaustion when he jolted awake at the sound of a door slamming open. He sat up, eyes searching the empty room. "Ca? Ca?" No answer. Only the soft pattering of rain on the metal roof, sounding like the frantic breathing of someone in distress. Hung rushed outside and caught sight of Hoai Ca running into the night rain barefoot, clothes drenched, hair stuck to her cheeks. "Hoai Ca!" He shouted until his voice cracked, but she did not stop. Hoai Ca ran without awareness. The rain stung her skin, but she felt nothing. Her mind held only one sound, the baby's cry. The farther she ran, the louder it became. She ran straight to the patch of land behind the hill. The place where, only days ago, they had buried the tiny baby boy who never had the chance to open his eyes and see his mother. The hill was silent. The candles and flowers had long been extinguished. The small grave, no taller than 2 adult hands, stood alone in the wet soil. Hoai Ca fell to her knees, hitting the cold ground hard. "My baby, Mommy is here." Her voice crumbled, trembling. "Mommy came to get you. I am sorry. I will not leave you here, it is too cold." Then, blinded by desperation, she began digging with her bare hands. Handful after handful. Again. And again. The wet earth clung to her nails. She scraped and clawed until her nails bent backwards and bled. Mud smeared across her face, hair, and lips. Rain mixed with her tears, blurring everything. "My baby! My baby! Mommy is here! Mommy is here!" Her screams tore through the night, ripping the darkness apart. When Hung reached her, he froze, as if someone had slammed a fist into his chest. Hoai Ca was kneeling in front of the grave. Her hands were bloody, her clothes covered in mud, her hair tangled and dripping, her whole body trembling like a leaf twisted by the wind. Yet her hands kept digging. "Oh my God." Hùng choked, his legs nearly giving out. Then he rushed forward like a man possessed. He grabbed her from behind, pulling her hands away from the ground. Ca, what are you doing?" Hoai Ca screamed, thrashing like a wounded animal. Let me go. Let me go. My baby is in there. I heard him. He is calling me." Hùng was on the verge of tears. "Ca, our baby, he is gone. He is not here anymore. Please stop." But Hoai Ca could not hear him. She could not hear anything. She screamed with a voice torn straight from her soul. "He is alive. He needs me. Why will you not believe me? Why?" Hùng wrapped his arms around her from behind, locking her arms down, terrified she would tear her hands open on the dirt. She struggled violently, hitting his chest, her voice breaking apart. "Give him back to me, please. Let me bring my baby home. He is cold." Hùng held her tighter, rain slashing across his face, his tears mixing with the storm. "Ca, I am begging you, do not hurt yourself like this. Do not tear yourself apart." She collapsed in his arms, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. "My baby? I am sorry, Mommy is sorry." Hùng held her so tightly that his own hands shook. The rain kept falling, but his heart felt frozen. In that moment, Hùng understood one thing with absolute certainty. Hoai Ca was no longer okay, and if he did not act soon, he would lose her. Forever. A few days later, the entire family felt as if they were walking on a tight string. Hoai Ca was no longer herself. She muttered to herself all day, broken sentences, quiet giggles that appeared out of nowhere, soft whispers of "my baby," then long, empty silences that chilled anyone who saw her. Her eyes were sunken, dark like hollow pits. Her cheeks were gaunt. Her body had withered drastically after days of barely eating or drinking. Hùng tried to be everywhere at once, working, staying by her side, preparing each spoonful of porridge, each pill she needed. But he couldn't watch her every second. One morning, he had to go down to the commune office to handle paperwork, and Mother Ha came to watch over Tony. Hoai Ca looked at her for a long moment, then spoke in a whisper, barely more than a breath. "Mom, I am going to the market to buy a few things." Mother Ha nodded slowly. She was terrified inside, but seeing her daughter speaking more clearly than the past few days, she wondered. Maybe she is getting better. Just stay close by. Go and come back early. Yes. It was the first time Hoai Ca willingly stepped out of the house since the tragedy. Mother Ha even felt a flicker of hope, already thinking about what nutritious meal she would cook for her daughter that evening. But she had no idea what was waiting ahead. The morning market in town was packed. Vendors shouted prices, children ran around, and the smell of breakfast dishes filled the air, steaming pho, fresh rice rolls, sizzling pork cakes. Hoai Ca walked through the crowd with empty eyes. The sounds warped around her, muffled and distant. She moved like someone half asleep, drifting, until she saw a young woman carrying a newborn boy, wrapped in a light blue blanket. Just 1 second. Hoai Ca froze. Her heart exploded inside her chest. Her mind went blank, then overflowing all at once. Her breath caught as if someone had slapped her hard. Her lips trembled. "My baby?" She stepped forward, 1 step at a time, eyes wide, breathing uneven. The young woman smiled gently at her baby, rocking him softly and kissing his forehead. In that moment, Hoai Ca broke down. "My baby, Mommy is here. I have been looking for you for days." The young mother jolted in shock. Before she could react, Hoai Ca lunged forward. Fast, violent, a surge of pure panic. She grabbed the baby out of the mother's arms. "Give him to me. This is my baby. My baby is still alive. Dear God." The young mother screamed. "She is taking my baby. Someone stop her." The entire market erupted. Vendors abandoned their baskets and rushed over. Some grabbed Hoai Ca's arms, others helped the crying mother, and someone ran to call the police. "Hold her. She has lost her mind. The baby is crying too loud. Hoai Ca clutched the baby tightly against her chest as if holding a stolen treasure. She trembled violently, tears streaming nonstop. Please, please do not take my baby from me. My baby, do not be scared. Mommy is here. The infant screamed in terror, his face turning red, making the scene even more chaotic. The ward police arrived within minutes. She is not stable. Hold her quickly. Give me my baby back. Someone help me. 2 officers approached and grabbed Hoai Ca by the shoulders. She thrashed wildly in panic. Do not touch me. Do not take my baby. Please. Her voice cracked, broken, barely coherent. When Hùng received the call and rushed to the market, he froze on the spot. The moment Hùng saw Hoai Ca in the middle of the chaotic crowd, his heart stopped. She was clutching the baby tightly, hands trembling uncontrollably, her hair tangled and wet from sweat and tears. The baby was screaming red-faced, and the real mother was crying in terror. Hùng pushed through the people and rushed to his wife, grabbing her from behind. Ca, let go. That is not our baby. Hoai Ca turned toward him with eyes that held no recognition at all. Only fear. Only desperation. No, he is my baby. She clung to the infant so tightly the officers had to hold her arms. He called me. He called for his mother. Why can no one hear it? Hung's throat closed up. He cupped her face, desperate to pull her out of the panic consuming her. Ca, look at me. Please look at me. But she no longer recognized him. The terror in her eyes was the terror of someone losing the only thing keeping them alive. The officers approached gently but firmly. You are her husband, right? You need to sign the release form. Your wife is showing signs of severe psychological distress. We cannot let her walk freely like this. Hùng stared at the paper, his hands shaking violently. He could not read a single line. He just grabbed the pen and signed as tears fell onto the page. I will take her home. Please do not hold her here. The officers nodded. The mother reclaimed her baby, still sobbing. The crowd whispered, some in sympathy, some in fear, but everyone stepped aside when Hùng lifted Hoai Ca into his arms as if she were fading into nothingness. Her fingers clutched his shirt like it was the last thread keeping her alive. Every step he took felt like dragging the weight of a collapsing sky. Back home, Hoai Ca collapsed onto the bed and fell asleep from sheer exhaustion, after crying until she could not breathe. Hùng sat beside her, staring at her frail face. Her cheeks were hollow, her lips cracked, her eyelids dark and swollen, her forehead hot, her hands ice cold. A woman who had once been strong, bright, brave, was now only a thin shadow, her soul swallowed by grief. Hùng wiped his tears, but they fell faster than he could remove them. For the first time in his life, he was terrified. So terrified his limbs felt numb. Terrified of losing Hoai Ca in the most devastating way. He picked up his phone and called Mother Ha with a shaking voice. Mom, come to the city. Bring Tony. I have to take Hoai Ca for treatment. On the other end, Mother Ha fell silent. No questions. No blame. Only, I understand. I am coming. Hùng packed a few clothes for his wife. His hands shook so badly he could not even fold a shirt. He sat on the edge of the bed and brushed her tangled hair gently. Ca, I am sorry. I am sorry I could not protect our baby. I am sorry I let you fall this far. He placed his hand on her forehead and whispered like a vow. But I will not let you sink deeper. I will not let you lose anything else. Not even yourself. He lifted her into his arms like lifting a child. She did not wake. She did not resist. She did not say a word. She only rested her head against his shoulder, her breathing thin as a thread. Hùng closed the door. The cold wind swept into the small wooden house. His tears fell onto her hand, warm against her cold fingers. He placed her carefully in the passenger seat, fastened the belt, then got behind the wheel. Wait for me, no matter how long it takes. I will bring you back. He started the engine. The sound echoed through the silent night. The car drove away, leaving behind the little house where the last warmth of their baby still lingered, and where the first crack in Hoai Ca's life had formed. Ahead was the hospital, the treatment plan, the long days of crying, screaming, medication, therapy, but also hope. The only chance Hoai Ca had left. And Hùng would not give up. Not ever again. See you in the next episode. Hoai Ca's journey of healing has only just begun. Will she be able to overcome the darkness swallowing her whole? And will Hùng be strong enough to pull his wife back into life? Do not forget to leave a message of support for Hoai Ca and Hùng. And make sure to follow the next episode to see what happens next.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Không có ngủ muộn thiếu ngủ, hôm nay buồn ngủ lắm rồi luôn. Hôm nay chắc phải đi ngủ sớm rồi mọi người ạ, mệt chịu không. Tạm biệt mọi người.